My name is Lily, and I'm in first grade, and and I'm in the podcast.
Perfect. Good job. Thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction, Lily. Lily's class was in the Rawson Library when I stopped by. A big thank you to our media specialist and aides. It's Library Appreciation Month, if you didn't know, and we want you to know that we appreciate you all year long. I'm Dan Bader, Communication Coordinator for the School District of South Milwaukee, and this is the SMY Podcast. Mason Cooley, an American thinker and writer, once said, "What lies behind appearance is usually another appearance." That can be taken a number of ways, but when I think of it from the perspective of the district's efforts to rejuvenate our athletic fields, I think of the depth and breadth of what that project will do for South Milwaukee, for our students, for our residents, and for our appearance to the outside world. Construction is set to begin on Bucyrus Stadium's field this spring. High-quality turf and eco-friendly padding and infill are replacing the grass surface. The same is happening to the infields of the softball and baseball fields. The track around the field is being replaced with a modern surface more conducive to the sport. The reason this is necessary at all is the location of the fields and the regular flooding that whisks away nutrients and soil, leaving the playing surface prone to damage and hard to play on. The roughly $3.3 million effort was kicked off by a generous $1 million donation from the Bucyrus Foundation for the football field. The Launching a Legacy Committee, a group of community members, alumni and former coaches, took the ball, so to speak, and has raised more than $270,000 so far, with more to come. And the school board has approved bids and has committed to ensuring the whole project is completed. It's an exciting time. Today we'll discuss, in a larger context, the value of these spaces. I'll give you a hint, they're not just for athletes. Joining us today is Athletic and Activities Director Ante Udovic to discuss how these fields are used and why they need to be upgraded. Ante is perhaps the best known administrator in the district, but I'd be remiss in not telling you he's also the Wisconsin Association of School Councils Administrator of the Year. We're very proud of him. After, we'll speak with one of the co-chairs of the committee, Jeff Dess, an alum, parent of alumni, and former coach and student athlete. Here's Ante. Ante, welcome to the SMY Podcast.
Thank you very much, Dan.
So tell me about, first tell me what you do here in the district before we get into the fields project we're doing.
This is my 20th year as the Athletics and Activities Director for the high school and middle school here at South Milwaukee, and it's all encompassing, revolving around all of the groups that we have that kids can participate, activities and sports that kids can participate in.
Yeah, we often refer to you as the athletic director, but activities part is a pretty big part of your job too.
Yeah, I mean, the pride that I feel in being able to work with the kids in all of the different groups is something that, I'm very proud of the fact that it's not just a few sports that are, highlighted. I try to highlight all the kids in everything as much as possible.
Yeah, if our listeners don't follow, you should follow Ante on his Twitter profile. He's he's turned into a legend in the school district. Everybody knows who Ante is, and that's because you're so involved and how much time you commit and spend here. And you're being recognized for that this year, I mentioned before, so congratulations to that.
No, thank you. Appreciate that.
We're proud of that. So we're talking today about what a quality educational program, what facilities it has, and what we should expect our facilities to look like to provide the kind of education that we feel that we need to have. When you started, what were the conditions of South Milwaukee's facilities?
Well, we opened up the new high school in 2004, and the facilities, obviously, everything brand new. There's always going to be bumps in the road, but certainly with brand new facilities, you had a lot of opportunities to showcase that and bring people in and see what so they can see what you have. And we were very proud of the opening of the new high school and all the facilities we had. Not everything was new, of course. I mean, we have things that are original to the construction of our now middle school, but originally built high school in 1861. And but the facilities that we are talking about now, have always been something that we've been proud to be able to host stuff. I've been blessed in my 20 years with having phenomenal coaches to work with, and I would rank our ability to host events right up there with anybody, and that is mainly because of phenomenal coaches who really put in the time and care about the kids and do everything they can to put on a good show for their own kids, but obviously for our schools kids and coaches and spectators that we host.
Sure. So the as I said in the top, the Launching a Legacy campaign is really an effort to replace the football field turf, the turf on the softball and baseball fields, and the track that goes around the high school field, the football field. Tell me what they were back then and kind of how much punishment they've taken in those last 20 years.
Well, in particular, softball and baseball have those weren't new either. That's when we started, or when I started 20 years ago, those fields we've made improvements to them to try to keep things in a positive way. But even grass in any way, shape, or form, it takes a beating over time. And even though it's grass, you don't think, oh well, you have to replace grass. Well, but it's every year. We're limited in space on our campus, and so one of the things that impacts softball is we always have to put our football team to practice on our softball fields, and that really hammers those fields and impacts how much work it is to get from our grounds guys to get that back to playable conditions for softball. And then
the reason they can't practice on the football field where they should be practicing, right, is because the turf there is in such rough shape you couldn't use it for games.
Yeah, it definitely is one of those things that originally essentially it was not it was trees, marshy swampland, and anytime you build up on surfaces that are not level, not normal grass and whatnot, you're going to have issues over time. And pretty quickly after we built Spouts Field out there, it was something that we had many issues. Anytime it rained, we would have issues with standing water, and it deteriorated pretty quickly. So we've been really hoping for this day to come where we can get turf out there, so that artificial turf out there, so that we don't have the issues where we have to have the field covered with tarps for a couple of days before a game, in the hopes that it'll keep enough rain off to where it'll be playable. I mean, we've had, I can't really count how many times we've had to cancel halftime performances by our dance team and marching band because the field was too wet and not safe for them to be out there, and certainly wouldn't be able to perform like they intend to perform. But additionally, we've had a number of games, particularly at the JV or JV2 freshman level, that we've had to move to our youth field across town at Hickory Field. But additionally, we've had several varsity games that we couldn't host. A couple of times we couldn't host playoff games because of how bad the surface was. And it becomes a safety concern when you're talking about large swaths of mud and uneven surface. And regardless, I mean, we really, there was nothing more that we could have done, whether it was bringing in outside companies that specialize in turf maintenance, grass maintenance, or our fantastic grounds crew over the years. We did everything we could to make the best out of it. And when you're talking about infields for baseball and softball and the football field, it just got to a point where it's been too much work and too hard to keep up, and it's just impossible. So something had to happen, and if people look at artificial turf and think, oh, it's so expensive, but then you take a look at what the costs would be to make it work and make it right with replacing it with natural grass, and that's a pretty significant cost too. So.
Well, tell us about your vision for what these fields are going to look like when we're done.
Our hope is that people are going to come to our facilities and be amazed at how great they look and how much nicer it is to have their kids play on it. Because again, over time, it just deteriorates to the point where, you play baseball and you get some bad bounces on balls that you don't expect to have, even though we did everything we could to get it to be level. And the football field, you get a chance to play on an artificial turf field, and compare, our kids who've played on the grass that we've had versus the artificial turf field. They're just going to love it because of the comfort level with knowing that, hey, it's not a surface that, there was a hole that suddenly materialized, or, a sprinkler head that stuck up and it wasn't noticed, things like that.
Sure. And what happens when it rains on these surfaces, because it's still kind of low-lying land? There are drainage improvements that we're planning too, right?
Absolutely. Each of the facilities will have drainage plans as a part of the project, so it will enhance how the water flows on and off of each of the facilities, including our outfields, which are not going to be turf, but we're making improvements to both of the outfields to have that be a better surface as well.
Sure. So kind of in a larger sense, though, how do having usable fields, because I feel like we maybe have forgotten what having a real usable field is like, especially at the football field. What does that bring? What's that going to bring to South Milwaukee, and what does a quality extracurricular activity program look like with usable fields?
Well, it's like insurance. You need it when you need it. The turf allows us to have, a usable space pretty much at all times, unless there's several feet of snow, or which you're not playing sports generally when there's that much snow anyway. But the ability to play after rain or in rain, as long as there's not lightning, of course, because lightning stops any competition. But as long as it's not actively storming, you're pretty much able to play on that football field. Baseball and softball, obviously, it all depends on the quantity of the rainfall. But even in light rains, it adds up enough with dirt on your infields to prevent you from being able to play, because it just gets too slippery. But with the turf infields, the grass certainly takes the water a lot longer, and having turf infields makes it much likelier that you'll get games in, and you'll get them in safely. Additionally, one of the things that is a big deal for us too is, with how our field has been out at the stadium for the football field, Phi-Ed has had very limited amount of time. I mean, it's extremely rare that they're ever on that field. I mean, generally speaking, the only thing that they ever use that field for is to walk across it to get to the other side behind the bleachers where there's another grass field where they'll, do archery or other activities. But now having a artificial turf football field will give our Phi Ed classes for both the middle school and the high school a tremendous amount of opportunity to, get their classes out when it's nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, we, almost forget that field's out there most of the week with that because it's
Correct.
A fragile space. But with the improvements that are coming, things like graduation could possibly be held out there if the weather looks like it's gonna hold. Because right now we are used to having a ticketed event where only your parents can come, into the field house, and then other community events I imagine could happen out there too.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And then, quality of practicing. I was thinking that, the cheerleaders probably never get to practice on the field before a halftime show, right? So lining up and blocking and staging, all, I can imagine would improve.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that it's been a while since, our dancers always, for halftime, the last couple of years, it's been a struggle to use the grass out there, so they were relegated to using the track more for their halftime performances, and that's a little tougher to see when you're in the stands and whatnot, so people shift around and move. So by having the turf field out there, the dancers will be able to be out there to perform, and additionally, like you said, they'll be able to practice like we used to do whenever the field was in decent shape. Now we'll have that opportunity, of course, if it's weather permitting.
And marching band, right? I mean, right now they're practicing in a parking lot.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So, and then people have talked a lot about Spectacle the Bands. I wonder if you could maybe explain what that was and the idea that maybe something like that could come back.
Yeah, music competitions over the years with marching bands and with drum lines and variety of different groups. We would have, it was decades-long run of the Spectacle of Music where we had these groups come in to perform and compete, and while things are different in that landscape of those groups competing, this would still give us an opportunity to try to bring something back, where we can bring, whether it's high school marching bands, or some of the groups that have adults that still work on it, the municipal groups that and private groups, have them come back and have some type of competition. It gives us a lot of opportunities to see what's out there and maybe bring something back that we can have everybody be proud of again, to be able to host it here.
Sure. And then I was also thinking that Wisconsin schools now are in this kind of locked battle during this time of year for open enrollment purposes, right?
Correct.
Kids can move between districts if something's not working out for them. And we pay a lot of attention to the academics and trying to make ourselves accessible with our career and tech program, so kids with all different kinds of interests can come here and finish their high school experience. But we haven't really paid that much attention to the athletic end, and we know that matters a whole lot to a lot of kids. What will a rejuvenated playing surface on all those fields mean for this?
Well, the number of kids who move in and out of communities for open enrollment purposes, it's a substantial number. Having facilities like this that you can be proud of, along with our indoor facilities with the middle school gym and our field house in the high school, our fantastic performing arts center. I mean, this will help cement the fact that we're going to have pretty much every one of our facilities in the type of form that will be attractive to young families that are looking for a place that maybe they're not comfortable with sending their kids in certain areas to school, that they think, oh, South Milwaukee looks like a pretty great place. Let's take a look there. And then you catch their eye with some fantastic facilities. And again, high school sports and youth sports is big business for a lot of people. And
and you get busloads of kids. I mean, talk about an advertisement for a school district.
Yeah.
Is bringing in busloads of kids all through the year to play on these surfaces, and then, say, hey, Mom, maybe I want to try South Milwaukee because,
sure,
man, if I'm into football, this is kind of be the place to be.
Yep. And, with the design of what we're putting in, I'm obviously partial to what we're putting in, but I think it'll be pretty exciting and be something that is most definitely unique. It'll be the first of its kind in Wisconsin for what we're looking to put in, and it's all well thought out, and the reasons for what we're doing is again well thought out and real positive, and I'm really excited about people and how much their excitement is going to show once they see what it's going to look like.
Great. Well, hey, thanks for being here today. I appreciate sharing your thoughts on this. And next we're going to talk to Jeff Dess, who's a chair of a committee who's raising funds to try to help pay for all these improvements. Thanks, Ante.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, Jeff, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. So tell me a little bit about your experience here as a student.
Well, I graduated in 1984. I played basketball and football and ran some track during my high school years. So I've always been involved in the sports.
Mm-hmm. And that was obviously before the new high school was built. But your kids went here, right?
Yes, both my sons went here, Mitchell and Jonathan. They graduated in, I believe, 2015 and 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And they played both sports here as well, football especially. I remember them playing on the football field. I coached with them on the football field. I know what it was like. It was very sloppy, very muddy, very dangerous in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of started the wave of me being involved in getting this project moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And the gift from the Buzz Iris Foundation started this process. And so I'm glad to be a part of it, and hopefully we can make this happen.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that committee and the work you've been doing so far.
Well, the committee's been ongoing for, I would say almost over a year now. And since we got the donation from the Buzz Iris Foundation, we formed this committee. And we've been energized and working hard at getting donations and reaching out to the businesses and trying to solicit contributions for this project. We've got a number of businesses to donate, a number of sponsors, a number of individuals who've donated the project. So we're moving along. I think we're in good shape. We have a little ways to go, and I think we'll finish the deal.
Sure. If folks don't remember, on our last home game in 2022, we did a check unveiling from several of the local businesses that gave their support. It's kind of like a kickoff for the whole thing. What's kind of been the reaction from the community so far with the committee?
I think the reaction's been positive. We're still working on getting a lot of information out to the community. So I think with what we're doing in the next month or so is going to do that. But overall, the community is excited about it. We unveiled the plans for the project, and people seem to be really excited. I think we're in a good position.
Let's talk a little bit about what this is going to mean for the community, because I touched on it with Ante for a little bit, but from your perspective as a parent, as a community member, what do our fields say now, and what should they be saying to visitors and to the community?
Well, I think it's all the difference in the world. I think that this is going to take us to the next step. This is going to make us competitive with all the other schools that have turf fields. It's going to open up a wide range of other activities that we can use our fields for. We can rent out the facilities and gain income. We can hold band competitions. We can actually hold a different number of soccer activities. We can hold baseball tournaments. We can do so much more than what we can do now with our current field conditions. So this is going to be life-changing for our community. It's going to be a great asset for all our student body. I think it's going to help recruit students to our district. And it's just something that this has been way overdue, and I think it's necessary that we get this thing done.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned just exploring this project is how we've kind of become complacent with what we have. So the idea that the marching band has to practice in the high school parking lot before a game because the field isn't adequate, or that even when they're just starting their season that they can't actually be on a field to do it, is not something we should accept. It's just not.
Oh, I totally agree. And I was trying to explain this to my sister the other day, is that, when you're in a band competition and you're on the football field, you want to know exactly where you need to go on that football field before you get out there. And with them not being able to do that, being able to have to practice in a parking lot and stake out the parking lot before they go on the football field, that's a big deal. And so this will resolve that problem. This will resolve the problem of our student athletes and our students being able to utilize the fields for Phi Ed, and just a wide range of activities that this is going to allow us.
Right, and just a sense of pride in kind of what our facilities are. I look at the stadium now, and it just kind of sits back there when we're not having football games, or because I don't know that kids even think about it when it's not football season, and that's too big of a piece of property not to be using, and not to drive by and think, I go to that school.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. We could be utilizing this for a lot of other different things and avenues that bring people into our community, bring people into our school district, and maybe that will change a family to move to this area and to come to our schools.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just it's not even really usable at the moment, and I think we've also become complacent with that. That we just know that's kind of the way it is, and that's good enough, and it's just not. Next, I'd like to talk about kind of some of the creative ways you're fundraising. So tell me about the $1,000 Club. What is that?
Well, the $1,000 Club is a unique opportunity where if you were to donate $1,000, you're going to get a gold plaque and a card that allows you to get into any one of our conference games for free, for life.
Home games, right?
Or home games, yeah. And it will give you a special dedication on something that's going to be determined in the future for our all our donors. So it's a unique opportunity to be part of a special group. Our slogan was, we need, $1,000 donors, and that's what our pledge is working on right now.
Yeah, we'd be done if we had 1,000 people, right? I mean, we'd hit our goal almost.
Correct. Yeah. So we're working on that. We're hoping our community comes forward with that, and so far we've had a number of people have done that, and we're continuing to work on that and growing that.
Sure, and we have some naming opportunities, right, that people have taken advantage of in the stadium.
That's correct. We've had a number of businesses and even private donation companies that have stepped forward to donate and have named some areas where they want to have their logo in the stadium to promote their business. And so we've come together as a group and are trying to unify that look and make it look nice for our stadium when that time comes.
Sure, so the Bucyrus money was dedicated to the football field, but talk a little bit about the baseball and softball fields too, and kind of what's needed out there.
Right. So we, when we first started this project, the donation was strictly for the football fields. We decided to expand that if we could, raise the money. Decided that we're going to go and do the infields at the baseball field for boys and the infields for the softball field for the girls. So, and there's opportunity for naming rights there on different areas, and the dugouts and scoreboards out there. So we're excited about that opportunity, and this will give us a great fields to play on in the future. I was umpiring last night at the baseball field, and it was kind of rainy and muddy, and if that would have been our field next year, we wouldn't have had an issue.
Sure. And then we're doing something with the Milwaukee Brewers, right? We're doing something out there.
Oh, yeah, we are got all our groups together from around the various district schools and booster clubs, and we decided that we were going to work some Brewer games to raise some money. So we're currently signed up for 13 games to work Brewer games. Mm-hmm. Some are working some extra concerts to raise some money, and those proceeds are going to go to our Launching Legacy campaign, which is going to be a substantial amount for us.
Yeah, and fun. I think I would enjoy kind of doing that for my school. We just got everybody gets a hat. You have to wear a hat at the Brewers games, and they all have to match. So we just saw the hats come in, and they're pretty cool. And then closer, I guess, coming up is May 6th. What are we doing then?
May 6th, we're having a kickoff campaign to let the community know, what this project is about. It's going to be at Pat's Oak Manor from, I believe, 6 to 10 or 6:30 to 10:30, where it's going to be a free event for anybody who wants to come and see what our project is like. We're going to have raffle prizes and free beverages, and we'll have the plans out there for people to look at and just kind of get more information. We're looking for some $1,000 donors hopefully, and I think it'd be a good event to spread the word to the community.
Yeah, super fun. Well, if you want to check it out, it's launchingalegacy.info. We have information about the event and about the project in general. And Jeff, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, that's today's podcast. Thanks for listening today. One thing I forgot to mention is that Launching a Legacy has a Facebook page. Check it out for some old alumni pictures, old team pictures, and to kind of see who's been donating, because we thank our donors on there. Another event to keep in mind, April 19th. So as you know, the school district is facing a $1.6 million deficit for next year. And we're having a celebration of our schools in addition to a voluntary letter writing campaign. The state is settling its budget for the next 2 years, and this is our chance to tell them that we support our public schools, and it matters more coming from you. April 19th from 5 to 7 p.m. Drop in anytime. It's a family event. There's an art build. There's all these great supporting public education activities. And you can hear from the people that are responsible for having to close that budget, and hear from our teachers and parents. It's going to be a great event. April 19th, 5 to 7. Thanks to Jeff Dess and Ante for their time today. Again, if you'd like to support Launching a Legacy, it's www.launchingalegacy.info. Have a great day.